Spooks at the Scrapyard. There is a big scrapyard located near the bridge that led to the other railway. Lots of steam engines do not like to enter the area, and it is very spooky. All except Donald and Douglas, who make a lot of trips there collecting iron. But one day, both of them will rush off their wheels, so the Fat Controller spoke to Thomas and Emily. I want you two to go in the twins' place. An important delivery of iron must be collected right away. Yes, sir. Donald and Douglas were not liking the idea of Thomas and Emily going there. You better be careful, said Donald. Those two Ironworks Diesels will have fun with you two, especially you've never been there. Pooh, said Thomas. You two are just scared. We're not scared. We'll show you. Besides, said Emily, what could possibly go wrong? And the two engines set off. Gordon, Henry, and Bear were taken aback. They sound overconfident, said Gordon. Too overconfident, said Henry. I hope they really understood what's really down there at the scrapyard, said Bear. The sun was setting, and it was getting dark. Imagine being scared at the scrapyard, sniffed Emily. Pa, added Thomas. Thomas and Emily enjoyed feeling brave. But when they got to the scrapyard, it was very spooky. Oh my, whispered Emily. Oh dear, hissed Thomas. They're not so brave anymore. Ari and Bud were lurking nearby after they shunted some trucks. The two Diesels saw a chance to scare a couple of steamies. As Thomas and Emily hopped slowly through the piles of jagged steel and twisted scrap, the two Diesels moaned and groaned. It sounds spooky. What was that? Did you hear that? Snapped Emily. No, I didn't, gasped Thomas. Suddenly, some flatbeds began to shudder and shake backwards and forwards. Sickness and ashes, cried Thomas. I think we'd better get out here quickly, wailed Emily. They didn't know Ari and Bud had been bumping the flatbed's buffers. The two naughty Diesels were having great fun. Thomas and Emily went to the turntable to get turned around before backing down into their trucks. While doing so, wherever they looked, everything was even more spooky than they first thought. Must be brave, both said. Then, it happened. A huge white tarp from a nearby shed suddenly flew over and covered Emily from funnel to footplate. The ghost! It's got me! She began to steam away. Thomas thought Emily was the ghost and he raced out of the scrapyard. As Ari and Bud were about to say it was a joke, they heard Thomas cry out, The ghost is after me! Ari and Bud thought Emily was the ghost too and they raced away. Thomas was right behind them, and Emily was right behind Thomas. Help! Emily cried. The ghost has got me! Ari, Bud, Thomas, and Emily raced towards Tidmer's sheds. Tidmer's sheds was quiet and peaceful. All the engines were fast asleep when Thomas's whistle woke them up. It's Thomas! Cried Donald. Something must be wrong, said Douglas. Suddenly, they saw Thomas, Ari, and Bud racing to the sheds. The ghost is after us, Thomas said. Donald and Douglas are scared, but just then Emily rounded the bend and the tarp flew off. That's no ghost, said Donald. That's Emily, said Douglas. The engines didn't feel scared anymore, but they did feel foolish. The Fat Controller arrived wearing his pajamas. What is all this fuss and bother? He boomed. Sir, Thomas cried, the flatbeds were rattling, and we heard moaning, said Emily. And groaning, added Thomas. The Fat Controller looked at Ari and Bud. Do you know anything about this? He asked sternly. Well, it was us, sir, Bud mumbled. For your punishment, you will go back and collect the iron at once, said the Fat Controller. Yes, sir, said Ari and Bud, and they rumbled away. Ari and Bud had arranged the train and Thomas and Emily collected it. They knew there was nothing to be scared of. After all, there's no such thing as ghosts. It was all silly make-believe.